today's video is going to be about my weight loss journey. I lost about 30 pounds, which a lot of people don't know that because I don't really share that many transformations anymore on my Instagram, but I have not always been fit. There was a brief period of time where I did put on a pretty good bit of weight, and I'm going to tell you how I put on the weight and then how I lost the weight and then how I've kept it off. And I'll show you before and after pictures. I really am thankful for my whole fitness journey because I learned so much, and I really learned about my body and what my body needs, and I was forced to learn about calories and a lot about nutrition. I also feel like I can relate to people now that have been trying to lose weight. They feel like they've tried every single diet in the world and nothing's working. I've been there and I know how freaking hard it is, because there was probably like a 2-year period where I was trying to lose weight and I just felt like nothing I did was working. Like, I knew that I needed to eat less. I needed to eat less calories, but I just felt like I couldn't do it because I was so addicted to food, and I would just go in circles. Like, I would lose weight and then I would just fall off and then I'd get back on. I'd be so motivated and I'm like, I'm gonna do it this time, and then Christmas rolls around and I'm like, for the next week, I'm like, well, I already ruined last week's progress. So yeah, every New Year's I set the intention of trying to eat healthier, and I finally have it figured out because now I have lost weight and I've kept it off for 3 years now. I'm gonna share my fitness journey and I'm gonna show you some before and after pictures, which are really uncomfortable, but it's part of it. So, and then I'll give you some tips on what I did to get where I am now and maybe help you reach your fat loss goals. So growing up, I was always really fit, really healthy. Well, I say healthy. I was a normal weight. I wasn't eating like the healthiest foods, but I had always been a pretty athletic child. I was playing sports and I had never been overweight in my life until I got to college. But first, I started working out when I was 17. So I got my gym membership, and before that I would go for runs sometimes, and I was kind of scared to lift weights, to be honest, because I thought that, you know, like I would pick up a dumbbell and I would just have massive biceps. So I get a gym membership when I was 17. I still remember the first day I went into the gym. I was absolutely terrified. Also, ignore my nails. I need to get them done. Let's just not talk about that. So I go into the gym and I'm like looking around. I'm like, what the heck? I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. I just got on the elliptical cardio because that's easy, right? And that's what girls do. So I got on the elliptical and I was kind of just scoping out the gym, getting a feel for it. I went home and I was like, Mom, I'm never going back to the gym. Essentially, I kind of got over, like, you know, being so nervous in the gym. I definitely had a lot of anxiety for the first like 2 years of me lifting, but I just went home, watched a bunch of YouTube videos, and went on bodybuilding.com, found like a program, religiously watched videos on forum, just started learning as much as I could. Ended up putting on some muscle, you know, newbie gains like the first couple months in the gym, and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. So let me backtrack. The reason why I even started going to the gym when I was 17 was because I remember looking in the mirror one day. I still remember the day that I was like, whoa, I need to do something. I looked in the mirror and I saw cellulite on the front of my leg. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. So this was still when I was like a healthy weight, but that like kind of freaked me out. And I also saw everyone else in my family, like people that were older than me, weren't really in the greatest shape, and they didn't really have like exercise habits that they put in place. And so I started listening to this podcast called Mind Pump. Shout out to Mind Pump. I love them. I give them credit to like everything I learned, because I just started binge listening to their podcast, and I knew that if I didn't build some healthy habits like when I was in high school, then I would probably end up being obese and miserable, you know, for the rest of my life, in my 30s, 40s, 50s. So I get a gym membership, put on some muscle, 17, then I graduate college or high school at 18, and I didn't go off to college, but I did move out into my own apartment and go to like a local college near me. So like freshman year of college, I don't think I had moved out. I think I was still living with my parents at the time. Started my first year in college, I was still living at home with my parents, but I got into an unhealthy relationship and I started going out on the weekends, partying, and it's hard when you're in unhealthy relationships or friendships, any relationship dynamic, because you're not going to be wanting to do healthy things when a really unhealthy, toxic relationship is weighing you down. And this is not to blame any external factor, because you have the power and control within you, but the external factors definitely play a role in how you feel internally, but it is up to you and only you at the end of the day to make those changes and get out of those relationships and take care of yourself. No one else is going to do it for you. So I just kept living that lifestyle for a while, and I could see that I was putting on weight. And I remember there was this one day where, keep in mind, I started my fitness count in 2017 when I got into really good shape. I started seeing my quads popping, my abs coming in, my biceps growing a little bit. And so I took a lot of pride in like being healthy and being fit. I remember being in the Target dressing room at the end of one summer, and I looked in the mirror, because Target has these mirrors where there's one in front of you and there's one kind of like diagonal behind you, so you can see like your back. So I put on this bathing suit and I look in the mirror and I just wanted to start crying, because I'm like, whoa, that back fat is new. I've never noticed that. And it just honestly made me feel really, really insecure. And I just remember for the rest of that day, I was like, holy crap. Like, I didn't even realize. I felt like I didn't recognize myself when I looked in the mirror. I knew then that I needed to start doing something or it was just gonna get worse. So that was just the beginning. So I get out of this relationship, and then I'm newly single, I'm still in college, and I finally move out of my parents' house because I wanted to be an adult with my own responsibilities, my own place to live. I just wanted to live alone, blah, 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 blah. So when I got out of that relationship and started living by myself, then I still continued to go out on the weekends, and I just kept putting on weight, just kept putting it on. I've made a joke, I've said before, like I put on like the freshman 30, it was probably like a 2-year span of me gaining weight. And I just remember like looking back at videos now, actually I'm gonna insert pictures of me at like my heaviest, which is, I hate sharing these, but I know that if people are watching this and they see that right now they might be where I was at, and then they see where I'm at now, there's hope for them. It is really uncomfortable and very vulnerable for me to share these, but if I can make an impact on just one person's fitness journey or inspire somebody to get started and become healthier, then that's all that matters. So I'm gonna put up some pictures and maybe insert some videos here and of me at my heaviest. So you can just see in my face was inflamed, it was really puffy at that time. I was getting like cystic pimples. Like I have a video on my phone that I just watched before I started recording this, of this huge like mountain on my forehead. And I think a lot of it was my diet, and I was just so inflamed. I had so much back pain, y'all. I literally ordered this back posture thing on Amazon. You can see in the background of one of these progress pictures, because my back was hurting so bad, and that was probably like all of the weight that I was packing on. Just, you know, like I had terrible posture. I was just so inflamed and so unhealthy. Like I knew that I was not healthy, and I was in pain. Like I would literally walk up the stairs and be out of breath. So I would just wear clothes that were like not fitting at all. You could definitely see in my face, but it's like people, my parents or like my friends now that were, you know, in my life at that period of time, were like, I didn't even know like that you got that heavy. And I'm like, yeah, because I hit it. I was so ashamed because I took so much pride in being fit, and I had put on all this weight. So like I was somebody who had a fitness count, and then I put on all this weight. And I just want to say that since that time period of my life, I started surrounding myself with different people. When I was going out and drinking on the weekends, I had a group of friends that like to do that at that time, which if that's your thing or you like to do that occasionally, that's totally fine. For me, when I would go out on the weekends, I would drink a ton of alcohol, which was empty calories, which causes inflammation in and of itself. And then I would eat super unhealthy. So I would just drink endless amounts of calories, and I would be eating fast food, and yeah, I just like wasn't really paying attention to my diet. I was working out, not as consistently, but I was still going to the gym. I was just eating way too many calories. So I finally got to the point where I was just fed up with the way I was living. And I think where you're living, the people you're friends with, the relationships that you're in, both intimate and platonic friendships, plays a huge role in your success and your habits and what your daily life is like. If you're friends with people that are just negative all the time, they're going out and drinking and they're partying, and you know, they don't eat healthy, they don't exercise, you're going to be doing the same things as them. And same thing with the person that you're dating. I think that one plays an even bigger role. If you're dating somebody or even living with somebody that, you know, they eat pizza every weekend or every night, whatever, they're eating fast food all the time, they don't exercise, they're drinking, you're going to fall into the same habits. There's no way you're going to be eating a chicken salad while they're eating a Big Mac. And you're going to be getting up at 5 a.m. When your partner's coming home from partying. Like, the people that you have in your life play such a big role in your health. I think they say like the 5 people that you have in your life, I don't remember what the saying is, but you know what I mean. So I got to the point where I was just so fed up with the way I looked, the way I felt, none of my clothes fitting. If I didn't figure it out then I would be living that life that was a good look into my future. Tired, overweight, unhealthy, out of shape, inflamed, just in so much pain physically. And I knew that I didn't want to live a life like that, so I stopped going out. I stopped drinking all the time. I started eating healthy. I was trying every diet in the world. Then I created a really unhealthy relationship with food. And then I started getting into like holistic health and researching, and that was really when I finally learned about why I was addicted to the foods that I was eating. I was trying like vegan foods, I was doing every diet, and I would lose some weight and then gain the weight back, and then I would just find myself like having binge tendencies. I wouldn't like full on binge, but I would definitely, you know, buy a bag of chips or something and just end up eating a ton because that's how the food is designed to be. So it wasn't until I started actually eating real foods, and I always saw people like this that would, they would make their meals from scratch, and I thought people like that, I thought they were so inspiring, and I always would think to myself, I want to be like that. Like, I want to be one of those girls that goes to the store and gets all these fruits and vegetables and cooks their food from scratch and eats super healthy, whatever. So I became that. So I stopped eating processed foods. I started doing a ton of research, listening to podcasts, reading books, just doing everything in the world. And I'm like, I am over being like this and just living the way I was living. So I first made the mistake of cutting my calories way too low. I do not recommend that anybody do that, but I cut my calories way too low. That I played a role. I mean, that impacted my hormones a lot. There was one month where my period was really late. My eyelashes were like, I noticed my eyelashes weren't as thick anymore. My hair started changing, like my skin was different, and that's what happens when you don't get the nutrients that you need from food, and that's why you don't cut your calories too low. Also, I was not eating enough protein at first when I first started my weight loss, and I lost a good bit of muscle. So the weight started coming off, and I remember putting on pants, and I mean, like, I would pull out the waist like so far, and I'm like, holy crap, I can't even believe that that's where I was. And when you start to see the physical changes, it gives you so much motivation to keep going because you know that what you're doing is working. So once I realized that I couldn't be eating 1,200 calories or, you know, a super low amount of calories, I was gonna have to do something different. So I kind of started reverse dieting, lifting heavier in the gym. I stuck with whole foods. I cut out processed foods. I stopped drinking alcohol. I started drinking a lot of water. I started taking my supplements. I put minerals in my water. And I focused on getting my protein in, hitting my protein goal, and eating balanced meals and trying to keep my blood sugar levels stable. So I ended up losing like 30 pounds. I think my lowest weight I got down to was like 122 maybe, but now I'm sitting around like 125, 127, and I feel really good at this weight. I feel like it's a healthy weight and it's completely sustainable. So it has been a ride, let me just say that. I just wasn't healthy, and I feel so much better. I feel so much more confident being at a healthy weight and knowing that I'm taking care of myself, putting healthy foods into my body. So my biggest tips, if you're on your weight loss journey, focus on hitting your protein. When you're in a fat loss phase, you want to make sure that you are eating enough protein. You want to make sure you're hitting your protein goal, because the last thing you want to do is lose muscle. That is the complete opposite thing that you want to happen. Having more muscle is very advantageous when you're in a fat loss phase, because the more muscle you have, the faster your metabolism is going to be. And also losing that fat is what gives you that like sculpted look. When women say they want to be toned, basically they mean that they want to be able to see their muscles underneath and lose the fat that's on top. So that's why it's important to actually have some muscle underneath and hold on to that muscle when you're losing fat, and then eating whole foods and cooking your meals at home. That honestly is the biggest tip that I could give somebody that's trying to lose weight, is cooking your meals at home. When you go to Chick-fil-A or you go to Zaxby's or McDonald's or whatever, you're getting a meal that's like a burger and fries, 1,200 calories easily with a drink and sauces. You can even make a burger and fries at home for way less calories, but they add so much oil, so many sauces, just so much extra crap when you go out to eat. So if you focus on eating a carb, not like processed carbs, but maybe some rice or some potatoes, vegetables, a fat like some olive oil, avocados, some healthy fat, and then protein, and balance your meals around that, it is like the weight will just fall off. And once you start eating clean, I promise, and the processed foods slowly start to leave your diet, even my taste buds change. I started craving foods and liking foods that I had never liked before, and I no longer had cravings for Doritos and cake and all that crazy stuff that I was eating and couldn't stop eating. Like a bag of Doritos is not, they don't design Doritos to where you can just have one or two. They want you to come back and keep buying it, so they make it addicting. And that's called the bliss point, by the way. There's actual research and studies on that. Scientists create, it's like the combination of salt, sugar, and fat, which is called the bliss point, and it's what basically keeps you coming back for more and more food. So yeah, I finally reached my weight loss goal, and that is pretty much the gist of my fitness journey. And when I also, just rewind, when I started going back up with my calories to get like back to a normal level, that's another mistake a lot of people make, is when they are losing weight, they hit their weight loss goal, their fat loss goal, whatever, and then they just go back to how they were eating before and don't pay any attention to their calories. So that is why most people that lose weight end up gaining it back, because they don't change their actual habits. So I did a reverse diet, which is basically where I slowly increase the amount of calories that I'm eating each week by like 50 to 100 calories a day, and each week I would go up from there. So I got my maintenance calories to be pretty high, and I think that a lot of that had to do with me focusing on toxins in my household and environment, and adding minerals to my water, going for walks, like changing out products. And I think that my hormones had a way less load. My cellulite too was like completely gone, well, almost. And I think that was due to a lot of things, but sticking to whole foods, like changing the water that I was drinking, adding minerals, that kind of stuff is what I think got me my hormones and metabolism to a really good place where I was able to start eating a good bit of food and maintain a pretty lean physique. So I would eat a lot of food. I just did my reverse diet and then got my maintenance calories to a pretty high amount, and I was just maintaining my physique at that, at a really high calorie intake. Another thing I want to say about dieting is I cannot stand all of the fad diets and trends that are out there right now around food. There's keto, there's vegan, there's just all of these crazy paleo, which that one's not terrible, but intermittent fasting, and some of those diets work for certain people, and maybe there's a medical reason why you need to be on a certain diet, but I think for most people, they need to just find out what their maintenance calories are and then reduce your calories so that you're in a caloric deficit. Stick to that deficit, eat whole foods, prioritize your protein intake, and that's it. Focus on your water intake, exercise, move, get your steps in, lift weights, put on muscle, the fat will come off. So I think I will be doing one-on-one coaching very, very soon. I'll be taking on some new clients. So if you want to shoot me a DM on Instagram, I would love to work with you. And I'm probably only going to take on like 5 to 10 people. So I don't know how quickly those spots are going to fill up, but I would love to help you guys. So if you're interested, just shoot me a DM on Instagram. My Instagram is the same name as my YouTube channel. It's Brittany Cates Fitness. And then I also have an app that has programs. So if you're a beginner, you need some help in the gym, you don't know where to start, I have a weightlifting program, and it has videos, it has rest timers, it has form tips on there. And then I also have a flexibility program, how to get your first pull-up program, and then a dragon squat program. So that is it for today's video. Please let me know what kind of videos you want to see from me. I am having a lot of fun on YouTube and I'd love to start making videos more consistently, like maybe every week or every 2 weeks. So if you have any ideas, just leave them in the comments below. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.